following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College. From the Georgia Southern Sports Network, powered by Learfield IMG College.
Wings up, Eagle Nation! Touchdown, Georgia Southern!
This is Inside Eagle Nation, your all-access look into Eagle athletics.
Taking a look through all the other action in Georgia Southern athletics this past week, a lot of road action, a lot of teams hitting the old I-16 out of town.
Getting on the steel horse and taking us to parts north, south, west, wherever. Can't really go too much farther east.
Now let's return to the Learfield IMG College studios. Here are your hosts, Colin Lacy and Danny Reed.
That's a fact, Jack.
Welcome into another edition of Inside Eagle Nation, live here from historic Hanner Fieldhouse. A little bit different of a lineup here today. Danny Reed off in the Eagle Club Tours down in Jacksonville, about to get going here in the next few minutes. But our special guest host tonight, Miss Sharon Perkins, the head coach for Georgia Southern Softball. Appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Filling in for Danny. We're going to have to be doing this over the next couple of weeks. We'll have a couple of different guests on, but Coach Perkins joining us tonight as we dive into everything Georgia Southern athletics. We start with Georgia Southern men's golf, just finishing up at the Hyatt down on Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, at the Sawgrass Country Club. Georgia Southern men's golf taking 8th place down in Ponte Vedra, and they will have about a week and a half off before the Stitch Intercollegiate up in Raleigh, April 8th and 9th. You a big golfer?
I don't like to putt. I like to see how far I can drive it, but I don't have the patience for putting. Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Women's golf just finished up the Liz Murphy Collegiate Classic up in Athens yesterday, finished 16th as a team in a stacked field up in Athens. They will play next Monday and Tuesday in Mimosa Hills Intercollegiate up in North Carolina. Georgia Southern men's tennis falling in 2 matches this weekend on the road at Lafayette. Fell 4-3 to the number 47 Ragin Cajuns down at Lafayette, and then on Sunday made the trip to Arlington. That's a tough trip to go from Louisiana on Friday to Arlington on Sunday, but fell 4-1 to the Mavericks on Sunday. They've got another tough week this week with a lot of travel down in Boca Raton to face number 60 Florida Atlantic on Saturday, and then on Sunday head to Boca Raton to also face Southern Miss on Sunday. That 11 a.m. the first serve. Women's tennis got a couple of victories this past weekend. Won 4-2 against ULM on Saturday at home, and then on Sunday beat the Ragin Cajuns of Louisiana on Senior Day. 4-2 the victory over at the Wallace Tennis Center. They've got 3 matches coming up this week. On Wednesday, they will host Mercer at home, 2 p.m. the first serve against the Bears. And then Saturday and Sunday, they will be in Texas to face UT Arlington on Saturday, 11 a.m. the first serve in Arlington. They make the trip over to San Marcos for an 11 a.m. first serve against Texas State. Dive into what Georgia Southern softball looks like this past weekend. Took on the Trojans of Troy, got one in the middle game, a 2-1 victory on Sunday. Before we dive into what this weekend looks like, talk about this team as a whole. Your first year here in Statesboro, taking over Georgia Southern softball. What surprises you this year so far for this team?
You know, some kids that haven't had the opportunity to play in the past, they're stepping up and, turning into starters, everyday starters, which has been fun to watch.
On the pitching side, who's really taking the bull by the horns?
They kind of step up at different times. It's like you're thinking one's going to do it, and then another one steps up, and it's like, wait, what? And then the other one will step up, and it's like, but, that's all part of it. Is we're still trying to figure them out. They're still trying to figure us out type of thing. And, hey, if someone's going to step up, I'm all about it.
You're getting into your 4th week in Sunbelt Conference play this week. Going to be heading up to Boone, North Carolina, and we were talking about it before. Enjoy the weather. But you got a big win 2 weeks ago against the Ragin Cajuns, number 23 in the country. It's a team that has run this Sunbelt Conference for the last few years especially. What does a win like that, 12-10 over the Cajuns on part of the second game of the doubleheader on Saturday, what does a win like that do for this program?
It's huge. I mean, we've been working hard. I mean, I look at where we were in August when we first took over and how far we've come in all aspects of the game. I mean, mentality, just first and foremost, hardworking and putting it out there and, not being afraid to fail type of thing. Just going full speed every play, every pitch, everything. And they're not used to doing that, and they're buying into doing that. And, good things are starting to come because of that. But defensively, we've come a long way. Pitching has gotten better and better every weekend. And our offense is really kind of, we're really on the upswing of it. They've kind of were free swingers before we got here. And it's really hard to go from just getting up there and not having a plan at the plate to now being patient, watching video, seeing what these pitchers are doing, and kind of trusting the plan and sticking to the plan and doing that in a game. It's not that easy to go from being free swingers to that. So I'm proud of them for that.
What does that process look like when you first get to Statesboro? You evaluate what you have, and you talk about the mentality. You're able to see it just coming to Eagle Field to watch this team. What's that process look like?
Oh gosh, it's a grind every day. It just really is. If you can't really take a day off of it. It's like you're just constantly, trying to improve, trying to show them video, trying to show them, this is what you're doing, this is where that pitch is, and that type of thing. So it's a daily grind, and I'm proud of the team for just really wanting to take it on.
Off the field, what do you want this team to be known for?
Gosh, off the field, they're good kids. They've gotten hilarious. It took them about maybe 3 weeks into the fall, and they kind of started showing a whole nother side. But they've been a blast this spring. They really have. They're starting to fight, and it's fun to watch. I'm glad I'm not the only one kind of pushing them to want to fight. They're taking it on. You can hear different people stepping up. You can hear Faith speaking up, and other people stepping up. And going, let's go, we can do this, type of thing, and kind of taking the team on their back instead of us having to do it.
You talk about a couple of the individuals, Just Major, Faith Shirley. Those are the people that we've seen around this program a lot for Georgia Southern. Where have you seen the biggest growth from them?
Like the verbal side of things. I think they kind of were just leading by example, and that's okay. It's okay to have people that lead by example, but somebody has to kind of be the voice of reason. Somebody has to speak up in the dugout. Somebody has to call time when things are going wrong on the field, and just kind of take charge and take the reins there. And somebody's got to be saying the right things in the locker room. We can tell them till we're blue in the face, but until they all buy into it and all pull together in the same direction, it's just not going to happen.
Got a busy week coming up travel-wise. You'll head up to Athens on Wednesday to take on Georgia, and then head up to the mountain to Boone, North Carolina to take on App State Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What you expect this weekend?
I don't know. It looked like they started off pretty hot, and now I'm looking at the record. I'm like, okay. It's just like anybody. Once you get into it and you're playing a 3-game series, who makes the best adjustments? That's kind of where you're at when you're in a conference, setting like this. So hopefully we'll just keep playing our style of ball and just, play defense behind our pitchers and make the best adjustments hitting-wise.
You've gotten a couple of big wins. We talked about the win over Louisiana, getting one from Louisiana Monroe in a late-inning affair. You get one against Troy this past weekend, and we've talked about Sunbelt Conference softball, one of the top softball conferences in the country, and I'm sure that's part of what drew you to come to Georgia Southern, being able to take on teams like this. When you're getting wins against these teams, that hasn't necessarily been happening in years past. Where does that show the growth for this team?
Yeah, I'm proud of them. I mean, you look at it and you're like, man, we've not beat this team since, 2016 or something like that, or 2018. It's like, whoa, that's pretty cool, to be able to get a win. Obviously, they're different teams every year, but because there's, constantly turnover with teams. But still, it's an established program, that's, even when I was playing way back in the day, at Nichols, it was like Lafayette. They were USL at the time, so they were always in the World Series. They were a legit team even back then. So they get good kids. Glasgow does a good job coaching them up. He's an awesome guy, and he's always going to do a good job and put out a good product. So I was definitely proud to be able to take a game from them.
All right, let's dive into your story a little bit, and we've got questions that have come in from Jared, which I know is
great,
interesting.
Okay.
But from Sarasota, went to Nichols, was a standout for Nichols State. What is the transition from playing to coaching? When did you realize that coaching was what you wanted to do?
Gosh, okay, so I actually have a biology degree, a chemistry minor. I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, and then it was like, gosh, I was burnt out. 5 years of it, I'm just burnt out. And so my 5th year, I was a student assistant at Nichols. And then I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So went off, got married. Chris and I got married. And then Southern Miss started the program. And then ever since then, I've been coaching ever since then. So did not ever want to teach or coach or anything. And then now I can't imagine doing anything else.
All right, that goes into one of the questions Jared asks. He says, tell us about how you met and ultimately courted your husband, Chris.
Oh, my gosh. Why does he always think that, golly, that Chris is the catch? I don't understand. What is happening? Always. Jared gives me a hard time. Here's what I think happened. So Chris is from Tennessee. I'm from Florida. We met in Louisiana. I think we were the only 2 non-Cajuns. I don't even know what happened. That's what I tell my assistants. I'm like, man, I could have been a Boudreaux. I don't know. Somehow I'm not. I'm a Perkins, but I could have been a Boudreaux. There was, we were the only non-Cajuns, I think, that were there. So, yeah.
I think Chad has told me that Chris used to be part of sports information and that side.
He was our sports information guy. He was scared of me. Because I'm no different than I am now. So, I'm loud and boisterous and whatever. And he would try to avoid me on the bus, I'm pretty sure. He would sit there and be quiet and, hope that I wouldn't talk to him probably. So we ended up dating my senior year. I had great stats my senior year. So I hit 357 or something. I was like, heck yeah, this is great, right? Yeah. So there you go. That was it after that.
Do you remember when it clicked? When you're like, you know what, this guy's not bad.
Probably when I was having great stats. Right? How can you not? No, yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's been a great dad. So it's not easy. So we were both you can't both be in the athletic field, Yeah. So it was he kind of quit doing sports info, followed my path, and kind of followed me around from coaching position to coaching position and helped raise the kids. So he calls himself a coach's wife. That's what he calls himself. So, yeah.
After a stop at Southern Miss, you make your way to Athens to be an assistant coach and associate head coach for Georgia from 01 to 06. What was that time in Athens like?
Athens was cool. It was neat. So, I played a little bitty school in Louisiana, which was awesome. Great people, great food. We go to Southern Miss, start a program from scratch, go to the World Series. Both years we're there with slow pitch kids. It was crazy. And then take over in a big conference, right? A great conference. And just, we kind of had to start from scratch, we were kind of bottom of the barrel there. And just, what I learned on how to coach kids at Southern Miss and everything that I learned from Lou Harris there and at Georgia is no different than how I've been coaching all along. It didn't matter if I was doing travel ball or coaching my own kid or whatever, just, putting in hard work. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. So
you talk about making that transition from slow pitch into fast pitch. What's that like as a coach?
Oh my gosh. Look, those kids were great on defense, but man, trying to hit a ball, yeah, it's crazy. Makes it tough for sure. Yeah.
In 2007, you make your way to be the head coach at Georgia Tech. Now, everybody knows that rivalry between Georgia Tech. What's that transition like going from one to the other?
Oh, it was wild. It was crazy. And, they just hate each other, right? And they're complete opposites, absolute complete opposites. So, when I'm at Tech and I'm recruiting kids to come to Tech, and it's like, I have all these engineers on the team. And it's like, those kids at Georgia are not going to be engineers. So they're just 2 totally different types of kids. And, that's okay. But it's like, you can't look at both those programs. You can't be seriously looking at both of those programs, because it's going to be totally different athletically and academically and all that. So, but it was cool. I mean, it was cool to be able to get there and, you're raring and ready to go. And I was young, I was young at the time and, a lot of pounds lighter and no gray hair at the time. So I was rolling back then. And, you're going against kids that you just recruited. And we won the first 4 games, actually, which was awesome. We, two in Athens and 2 in Atlanta. But, yeah, that was pretty cool. We had some knockdown dragouts over the years for sure.
Going back to your time at Georgia, Jared has a couple more questions.
Oh, no.
Said, ask about having her son, Nick, and returning to coach. And I think I've heard this story that you did it
True story.
About as quick as possible?
Oh, yeah. So, first SEC series of the year, we got Mississippi State. Thank goodness it's at home and it wasn't in Starkville, right? Amen to that. So, he's a couple weeks early. He's 2 weeks early. And, go to the hospital. Water breaks like 4:30 in the morning. Boom, go to the hospital. Guess I'm not going to be back. I was like, hey, Doc, you think I'll be back for the second game? Because we were playing double headers back then. He was like, you won't be there for the first game, maybe the second game. We'll see. He's like, maybe tomorrow. But he was kidding. So that was a Saturday, Sunday. And then we played Kentucky on Tuesday, Wednesday. I was back Tuesday.
So what, 4 days?
I don't need that many days. What do you need that many days for? Saturday, Sunday, Monday? Yeah, I was back day 4.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Jared says favorite dish at Olive Garden.
Fettuccine Alfredo.
Okay.
Sometimes chicken, sometimes not. Yeah.
And
Not the tour of Italy. Back in the day, it used to be the tour of Italy. I can't eat all that now. Yeah.
All right. And then he wants a true or false that you used to make him eat and hang out with bus drivers when you were at Georgia.
100% true.
You wouldn't let him eat with y'all?
Somebody had to eat with the bus driver. We were not going to eat with the bus driver. Look, back then we didn't have the cool, awesome bus drivers that we've had now. Like the one I have now, he's awesome. The one that I had at Tech, he was awesome. I still talk to him. We still Facebook all the time. Awesome. Great guys. But some of these people, it's like, nah, you don't really want to be buddies with them. I don't know. When you're trying to talk about softball stuff,
right.
And then, so.
So Jared was just the low man on the totem pole.
Yes, he was a nobody then. he was just a young kid, nobody. All that thick hair back then, man. Yes. And now, what happened? The table has turned, and now I'm walking in my office, and there's, fake snakes under my desk that are scaring me. He's jumping out of bushes, and I'm like, what has happened? I don't even know.
Was he the prankster jokester that he is now back then?
No, because I think he was scared of us because at one point Lou and I were both pregnant at the same time. So that was not good, I'm sure. Yeah.
And he traveled with y'all, right?
Oh,
obviously,
yeah.
He went on buses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to ask him about those days.
Oh.
I'm sure we were a joy. Like, we're a joy anyway. Not pregnant. Imagine us pregnant. Yeah. Amp that up tenfold. Yeah. Good times. Yeah.
All right. Jared's asked you and kind of poked at you a couple times in different interviews that he's done with you. Now it's time for the retaliation. What was Jared like back then?
You'll have to ask Jared about, like in the hotel lounge. You'll have to ask him about some of these things. There's certain things that you need. Yeah, can't throw it all. I can't spill all his tea out here. You just need to ask him. You just need to pry about certain things.
Okay.
Sharing milkshakes, things like that. Yeah. Some good stuff out there.
That's awesome. All right. You get to Tech, your first head coaching job at the Division I level. What is it like taking over your own program, especially one of a Georgia Tech that's one of the top programs in the country, it turns out to be?
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. I mean, we had really good kids. When I first got to Tech, I mean, I don't know if it was first, I guess it was first year we hit like 100 home runs. It was crazy. I mean, they were well coached. I'm not saying, it's not like I came in and the cupboards were bare. But we did have to get a lot better defensively because all they would do is, I think, go hit, and we hit really well, but we did not play defense well. So we had to really work on the defense, and it's no different than coming into here and fixing some defensive things and things like that. But yeah, they were good kids. I mean, Eileen Morales was a junior at the time. That's who's the head coach there now. She and I still talk. Actually, she texted me. She said, hey, sorry I missed your birthday yesterday. Happy belated birthday. So it's all good. So, we still talk. We're really good friends. But, it was kids like her that at the time were just hardworking kids. And they're no different than the ones that we have here. It's like they want to get better. They want to, they're ready to buy in and do whatever it takes.
You go to the NCAA tournament 6 different times while you're at Tech. Mm-hmm. How much does that help now here at Georgia Southern that you're trying to get this Georgia Southern program back to that point?
I think it just, kind of proves to me it's like, kind of know what you're doing. Like, you know what I mean? So I say, look, I may stink at a lot of things. I can't cook or clean. I hate it. I don't want to cook or clean. I stink at that, but I know softball. That's kind of how I feel, you know. Not saying I know it all, but I feel like I know enough to be dangerous, maybe.
Okay.
Right? But, you know, I feel like I know what it takes to get through to the kids. And, you know, I feel like I've matured over the years and kind of calmed down. Not that I don't get amped up like yesterday with the umpire.
Yeah, that was nice of him to give you a birthday present.
Yeah, happy birthday. Sit in your locker room for the next 2 innings. Yeah, but that was exciting. My husband's been going, yeah, I mean, who else? What other coach would get tossed on her birthday? Just me. Yeah, that's okay. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It's been a while. I don't know that I deserved it, but it's been a while. It's all good. He deserved me yelling at him all day, but that's okay. But, yeah.
Do you have any great stories of getting tossed?
Oh, my gosh. So the last time this is what's funny because I was getting a lot of text messages from former players that are my daughter's age that I coached. So the last time I was tossed was a 14 and under game.
Oh,
I was
fantastic.
coaching my daughter's game. Yeah. And I ran out because this umpire was calling obstruction on my catcher, and she had the ball and was tagging the runner coming in, and the kid never slid, just trucked her, just completely trucked her. She's laid out. So I go running out there, and I'm like, how is that obstruction? He tosses me. And I'm going, really? You tossed me for that? Like, I really didn't even say anything. So then, you know, I had to leave, and they're escorting me out, and I'm in the outfield. And then I get to Katie, never hits home runs, my kid. And she hit her first home run, and I'm out there. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Got a good view of it. It was perfect. Couldn't have been any better. Yeah.
Did you go and get the ball?
Nah, I don't do all that.
Okay.
That's not my thing. But I was like, oh, heck yeah. Yeah, it was good.
You bring up your daughter, Katie. She's playing softball at North Carolina now. What's it like being able to see her, watch her, what she's doing now?
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's awesome. I was bummed because we were supposed to play in the tournament in Athens with them, and then we had COVID issues, so we couldn't go play because I was like, as soon as I took the position here, Coach Papa at UNC texted me and said, hey, congrats. And I said, hey, you know, now that we're talking, it's like I'm going to need to get you guys on the schedule because I'm never going to get to see Katie now, you know. Play the last couple of years, and she goes, actually, we're playing in Athens. So I texted Tony and asked him if we get in the tournament. He said, oh, yeah. So we were really looking forward to it. But the whole time, this was in May, and this whole time since May, all I did was threaten Katie with, we're going to hit you with the first pitch. We're hitting you. I'm just telling you right now, we're hitting you. And she's like, good. I hope you do. Like, I'll take a hit by pitch. That's awesome. Yeah, so we never had the showdown, but yeah.
I think I saw a clip of her. I think she hit a triple, and it may have been the Athens tournament. She gets to third base, and she's as fired up as can be, and everybody's like, I wonder where she gets that from.
I know, and she's kind of toned down. She used to be a little bit more like me, and now she's kind of matured, I guess, and not as crazy as me. She has a different way of putting things. Let's say that.
Okay.
And now my son's like me, and I was like, the whole time he was growing up, I was like, who is this kid? Like, is this even my kid? And now I'm like, oh, he's totally my kid. Like, oh, man. He's such a smart aleck. I love it. It's great. His sarcasm is exactly me. And I didn't even realize until 2 years ago.
Is he into sports?
He's into chorus, actually.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So he's looking at schools just based on the choral programs. He's actually looking at the program here, but he's looking at Michigan State. I think he's going to roll with Michigan State. We'll see.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You're out of the college game for a number of years after you leave Georgia Tech after the 2013 season. You get into the travel ball side of it. How much had college softball changed from when you left Tech to the time getting here?
Oh, my gosh. The kids are just different. You know, and everybody keeps saying that they're soft and they're this and they're that. I mean, I think you just have to get through to them differently. I'm not saying some kids aren't soft. Some kids have always been soft, right? I mean, back when I was playing, some kids were soft. I can think back. But I think they don't know how to handle certain situations as much as we were maybe prepared to. And I think that's why they come across as soft. Yeah.
Being out of college softball as long as you were, how much does that kind of light the fire again underneath you to be able to come back into it this year?
It's been fun. I've been loving it. And like, especially the last couple of weeks, we've been really figuring things out on the ball field. So I'm like, oh man, this is clicking now. Like it's, you can really kind of see the fruits of your labor, but I think going back and coaching like 10U through 18U, like started at 14s and went through 18U when my daughter graduated and went back down, dropped down, back down to 10s and was coaching my way up again. And just kind of getting to the roots of understanding that everybody learns differently. And I never would have even thought about that. When I was at Tech, I was like, right here, my way or the highway. All about winning, didn't really care about anything else. And I think now it's kind of like there's more to it than that. And really taking the time to get to know everybody individually and kind of figuring out how they tick and what it's going to take to get them to get it.
How cool is it to be able to go back, figure that out, and now bring it back to the college game?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of have like a second chance at it. You know what I mean? It's like a totally different approach. Not that I'm not still firing and still, amped up and whatever and still coaching hard. I'm still coaching the same. I mean, even when I was coaching 10U, 12U kids, I'm still coaching hard. I still have expectations, and I'm still putting the pressure on them to succeed. But, I feel like I do have some more patience now. And I think they kind of buy into it more maybe now because they get that I am like really trying to figure them out and, they see that we care. You know what I mean? So I have an awesome staff. They've been great. A lot of ideas have been theirs. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because they were still kind of in it at this level, right? And I was at the younger level. So I was like, yeah, I mean, they're great at throwing out ideas. And I'm like, yeah, let's just give it a shot. Let's roll with it. So
talk about your staff. You've got Mary Beth on the pitching side, Heather on the hitting side. Mm-hmm. What about those two really made you want to have them on your staff?
I think because they're all in about like building something. They're not coming in going, oh, it's, that's not fine tuned, and they're not, they didn't come in going, I want a winning program and we're fine tuned and just come in and just, it's a well-oiled machine or whatever. They're not afraid to, kind of roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty and all that. They take on everything. I don't have to ask them to do anything. I mean, they jump in and just see something needs to get done and they get it done. They're pretty amazing. Yeah.
Talk about the process coming to Georgia Southern. It's got to be weird. Probably the last time you saw Jared was at Georgia as a student intern for the communications.
Probably at the wedding was the last time I saw him, but yeah.
But now he's the athletic director at Georgia Southern calling you to come be and lead this program. What's that thought process like?
Gosh, it's kind of wild because when we have the head coaches meetings, I just kind of look at him like, even when I was like Zooming the first one or whatever before I had been able to move down, he's just a great motivator. And I was like, what the heck? Like, where's 18-year-old Jared? And when did this happen? Like, how is he a grown-up? I'm so confused by it all. It's like crazy to me. It really is. It's crazy when you see like your players that you coached, years ago and now they have their families. It's the same thing with Jared. It kind of blows my mind. It's like watching him parent his kids and, talking with Sarah and stuff. He's just he's just an amazing guy,
What made the decision to come back to Statesboro, come back to college coaching, get back in it with Georgia Southern?
He understands how I go about things. Like, he trusts me and understands me, and I've been in a situation in the past where it's like, if you don't fit in, to that little cookie cutter thing that they want, then it's just not going to work out. So he gets that, I'm going to go about things the right way. And he understands that my process works. So I guess he's putting that faith into me, and my staff. And I'm definitely proud to be here. It's been awesome. Yeah.
You've talked about it the last couple of weeks, things starting to fall into place, starting to see everything click. How much of that gives you so much excitement going down the backstretch of Sun Belt play?
That's what I was telling the team after yesterday. I was like, we had a chance to win that game. We split with them, and then, a bunch of calls. We're not going to go our way yesterday. Wow. But, the team continued to fight, and it's like, you can see them doing things now that they weren't doing a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, and definitely not, in August. I just keep reminding them, look how far we've come, and we still are making, progress in certain areas, individually and as a team. So to start out with, just the last 2 weeks, like playing Lafayette, taking a game from them, taking a game from Troy, man, we're kind of in it. It's like they can see that we can do this. So, how
much pride do you have being able to see where they came from and where they are now?
I'm definitely proud of them. It's because, no practice is easy. We push them every day in practice. It's like, man, we don't do well in something, guess what we're doing the next day, and they know it. It's like, oh my gosh, just any little thing, getting hit by pitch, breaking up double plays, like it doesn't matter. We're about to work on it, base running. It's like, oh, they're like, we're sliding. Oh gosh, they're getting, all torn up or whatever, diving in the outfield. And it doesn't matter what it is, they know we're going to work on it and they improve. Communication's been a big thing, and, we're still trying to improve on that in certain areas. It's like it gets quiet, if something happens, if something goes wrong, then it's kind of like everybody kind of gets with themselves and they need to step up and kind of, quit being so individual, and be there for the team and things like that. And different people have been stepping up.
Really appreciate your time tonight. Really appreciate what you've done for this Georgia Southern softball program, and it's a lot of fun to watch you do what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're going to turn the tide for Georgia Southern baseball now as we catch up with the voice of the Ragin Cajuns to preview this weekend series, Georgia Southern and Louisiana down at Teague Moore Field, and we catch up with the voice of the Cajuns, Jay Walker. As we continue on this week's edition of Inside Eagle Nation, your all-access look inside Georgia Southern athletics, we step into what the week ahead looks like for Georgia Southern baseball as they will head down to Acadiana to take on the Ragin Cajuns of Louisiana. And who better to talk to about the Cajuns than the voice of the Cajuns, Jay Walker? What's going on, buddy?
You know what? The weather here has just been beautiful for about a week now. We almost don't know how to act. The humidity Friday and Saturday was like 23%, which you never see here. So we're all in a really, really good mood right now, but we'll see how that changes this weekend.
Probably in a really good mood as well, because you just took 2 out of 3 from South Alabama this weekend. And I know that's a series that means a lot to Cajun fans, and especially to take 2 out of 3 at the Teague. That's a special weekend.
It is a special weekend, Colin. And I'll tell you, after watching them, this is Mark Calvey's 11th year, and I think this is his best team. They've got, 3 weekend starters that have logged between the 3 of them about 700 innings in their careers at South Alabama. So it's a veteran pitching staff. They've really helped themselves offensively from a year ago. They're still a tremendous defensive team. And of course, they're very well coached. So, the Cajuns played well. And they were able to go ahead and get 2. And I think that was great. I'll say this, though. The intensity of this series reminded me of the good old days. And Charlie Nichols, the sports information director at South Alabama, agreed because he's been there 13 years. These teams got after each other over the weekend. Crowd was into it. Players were into it. Coaches were into it. It was just a lot of fun. I remember when we played Southern Miss earlier this year in a 3-game series, we lost 2 out of 3, and I left there saying, God, this is going to be such a great rivalry. And I got reminded what a great rivalry South Alabama is. And to be able to get 2, it made it for a satisfying weekend, especially for our fans.
Before we dive into what the Cajuns look like this year, want to get your take on Sunbelt baseball as a whole. You've seen a lot of Sunbelt Conference baseball, and you talk about the good old days when this was a 2 and 3 bid league in baseball side of it. This year looks like you could have the potential of a multi-bid league, maybe a 2, maybe 3 bids this year with Texas State doing what they're doing. What have you seen be the growth of Sunbelt baseball this year?
I think you've got 2 balanced leagues, if that makes any sense. I think you've got a league with Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, South Alabama, Louisiana, Texas State, and maybe ULM, because I think they're a lot better. And then I think you have a league with Georgia State and App State and Arkansas State and UTA and Little Rock. That's not to say that those teams aren't better, because I think some of them are better, but I still think there's a line of demarcation in this league. And I think it's pretty much 6-6 right now. I think when those top six play each other, it's going to make for some very, very interesting weekends, because I think that all six have got the potential to be right there at the end. And when those schools play each other, the ones that can win on the road are going to be the ones that are probably at the top of the league. And I should have included Troy in that as well. And that was the team I forgot to mention. If you can go into their house and get 2 out of 3, that's like sweeping somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think those series are going to be really, really interesting this year.
You talk about the series between a couple of different teams. This series between Georgia Southern and Louisiana has been one. I know you and I have talked about it a lot. Danny talked about it a lot as well. This has been really good series for Georgia Southern. Haven't had a true weekend series against the Cajuns for the Eagles since 2018, but have seen each other twice in the tournament since then. What is this? I know what we say it is from the Georgia Southern side, but from the Cajun side, what does this series between Georgia Southern and Ragin Cajuns look like?
You know, there was a time, oh gosh, I guess it was late in the last decade, where, no, it was probably even earlier than that, when the Cajuns would play Middle Tennessee in a regular season series, and the Cajuns would usually win the series. And then it was Middle Tennessee that knocked the Cajuns out of the tournament every year. That's kind of what this reminds me of. You know, I think when the teams have played on the weekend, it's been pretty even. When the teams have played in the tournament, it hasn't been. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of the way I look at it. It does remind me of the series that we used to have with Middle Tennessee.
This is a series that Georgia Southern hasn't been to Teague-Moore Field since 2017, at least not to play the Cajuns. Saw it in 2018 in the tournament. But remind Eagle Nation, and Danny and I have talked about it, probably people getting tired of us talk about it, what the atmosphere around Teague-Moore Field is going to be like this weekend.
Well, you know, the good news is softball's out of town. You know, this past weekend, we had some nice crowds at the Teague, but softball was home too. And they were, you know, they had 1,500 people at their games. So I think that's got a chance to surpass that a little bit. You know, the Cajuns are going to announce 4,000 plus at every game because they've got over 3,000 season tickets sold. Regardless of whether all those seats are full or not, those that are there are very passionate about their baseball. There are traditions in that ballpark that are sacred to our fan base, whether you're talking about the Cajun Cooking Club or Mr. Vic the Peanut Man or the 7th inning stretch with center field or any of those things. Section A that, you know, Georgia Southern players are going to feel the brunt of this weekend. And one of the things that I've noticed this year with this particular ball club is the crowd adrenalizes this baseball team. We've been a much better team at home, and we've been a much better team at home because you've got, as far as actual people in the stands, you know, 2,500 fans or more that are just really into it from the first pitch to the last pitch. They love their baseball here in Lafayette, and they look forward to when good teams come to town. You know, we've already seen Cal Irvine. We've already seen Southern Miss. We've already seen South Alabama. We've already seen Houston, and now Georgia Southern's coming in. So it's been a great home schedule so far, and our fans will be ready for it again this weekend.
Dive into this 2022 version of this Ragin Cajuns team. Offensively, Carson Rockefeller has been fantastic. 363 average, leading the league with 31 driven in. What is it about his game that he's kind of taken to the next level?
I think that, you know, Matt Deggs will tell you he's playing up to his capabilities. You know, he came in and Deggs just raved about him a year ago, and he had a good year. But he is really, you know, he's playing all conference baseball. He's playing potentially hitter of the year baseball. He's been really, really good. And it doesn't matter if he's faced it left-handed pitching or right-handed pitching. He's hit everybody. He's got a lot of clutch hits. He's having a great year. I'll tell you, this particular lineup, Colin, is probably the most athletic lineup the Cajuns have had since the 2014 team that was ranked number 1 in the country. Now, I'm not suggesting that they're as good as those guys. I'm saying they're that athletic. And, some guys are still trying to find themselves from an offensive standpoint. But this team is athletic. This team is going to put pressure on the opposition. When they get on base, they're going to run. And it's going to be up to you to throw them out. And the Cajuns have been good at manufacturing and stealing runs this year. Now, they have been missing their leadoff hitter, Max Marshak, who pulled an oblique in the 5th game of the season, and he just made his first appearance this past Friday. And in his first at-bat, he walked, he stole second, he stole third, and he came home on a ground ball. Now, when you can get a run in your very first at-bat without getting a base hit, that's a pretty good thing. Marshak, I will say it right now, not having seen anybody in the league. He's the fastest player in the Sun Belt because he's probably one of the 2 or 3 fastest players in Cajun history. He can run. And if he gets on base, he's going to run. And he's kind of a catalyst for the rest of this team because they say, well, look, he just stole a base. I can steal one too. Cajuns have already stolen almost 50 bases this year. And they're going to be on pace to steal about 120. And they're not going to stop running. Now, you can't steal first base. You got to get to first base first. This team doesn't walk enough. They need to walk more. And they're not hitting for a very high batting average right now. Of course, they faced awfully good pitching. But they're going to put a lot of pressure on you when they do reach base. And it's something that they really enjoy doing.
Switch over to the pitching side. The starting pitching for the Cajuns have been a little bit hit or miss the last few weeks, but you've had guys like Jeff Wilson, Tommy Ray in that weekend rotation. What does this weekend rotation look like in 2022?
Who knows? Because the rotation hasn't looked the same at all this year. I thought it was really interesting that over the weekend, Matt Deggs started senior. Started Brandon Talley, who's preseason relief pitcher. Started him on Friday night. Jacob Schultz, who was in the back of the bullpen, started on Saturday, and Jeff Wilson started on Sunday, as he has all year long. I think that Seth Thibodeau, the Cajuns' new pitching coach, has been trying to figure out which guys belong out there in which order. And I think senior was done on purpose. They want veterans out there to get things started and get this team off to a good start. There are guys in the bullpen who are very capable, but a lot of times the problem has been not getting off to a good start. And I thought that the staff over the weekend did a good job of that. The pitching staff is still too generous. They walk too many people. They hit too many people. But they've got guys who have good stuff. And, Bo Bonds came in on Friday night in relief of Talley. Talley went 4 2/3, pitched very well. Bonds got 16 outs and 14 of them were strikeouts against the toughest team in the league to strike out in South Alabama. Yeah. So you've got some guys who are capable. I think it's just been a question of putting square pegs into square holes and round pegs into round holes. And I think when they figure that out, I think the pitching staff will be okay. It's been inconsistent because I think the roles have been inconsistent. But I think that the coaching staff's starting to figure it out. Got a long way to go yet, okay? There's no Connor Cook or Spencer Arrighetti on this team. But they do have some guys who are capable. Just got to find the right role for them.
There's somebody that I wanted you to talk about that doesn't get, I don't think, nearly the amount of pub that he deserves. And that's Anthony Babineau, somebody that's been there for more than a quarter of a decade for this Cajuns team in a lot of different roles. And I know somebody that's very near and dear to your heart. He's the chief of staff on a piece of paper, but there's a lot of different things that he does for this Cajuns program. What does Anthony Babineau mean to this team?
Gosh, if you ask Matt Deggs that, prepare yourself for about a 20-minute answer. Because Bab does so many things. You're absolutely right. Everything that's on the periphery is his responsibility. And you take, I mean, look, you know this because you've been around the game for a while. When you become a head coach, the biggest part of your job becomes administration. Well, Matt Deggs doesn't have to worry about that because Anthony Babineau takes care of all of that. He is there all day, every day, on the weekends. He's working 7 days a week. But he takes care of all of the things, with exception of meeting with the media. He takes care of all of the periphery that comes with coaching this baseball team. He takes care of travel. He takes care of, in some cases, raising money so that way we can have a charter flight to Appalachian State. He is the guy who does all of our scheduling. And I asked Matt that when he saw the schedule for this year, why he didn't fire Bab on the spot, because such a difficult schedule that the Cajuns have. But no, he does all of that stuff. And Matt would go crazy if he had to do all of that, I think, because Matt wants to coach baseball. You know, he wants to teach hitting. He wants to create chaos on the base paths. He doesn't want to worry so much about what hotel are we going to stay at. Bab, let us know what hotel we're going to stay at and we'll be there. No, he does so much that nobody sees.
You alluded to it just now, a tough schedule for this Cajuns team. The record, not necessarily where you would want it, 11-12 overall, but I think that's indicative of what this schedule has looked like. And I think you see how much it's paid off already last weekend against South Alabama, taking 2 out of 3.
You know, I told you about the schedules that we had at home with Houston and Southern Miss and Cal Irvine. Also played on the Round Rock Classic, where you played Stanford, Indiana, and Arkansas. You know, you still have 2 games at Louisiana Tech. You still have a game at LSU. You have a game this week in the middle of the week against Southeastern Louisiana, who's always got a good club. And then you've got the rest of the conference schedule. Now, the Cajuns don't play Coastal Carolina this year. But it's a war every weekend in conference play. But yeah, this is one of the tougher schedules the Cajuns maybe have ever played. And Matt Deggs, although he didn't fire Bab because he didn't have a problem with the schedule, he likes the schedule that we played this year.
Looking forward to this weekend, 3 against Georgia Southern and the Ragin Cajuns at Tigmore Field and Russo Park in Lafayette. Cannot wait for this weekend. Can't wait to hang out with you and Top and Craig and everybody down there. But looking forward to it.
It's going to be an awful lot of fun, and the Cajun Cooking Club has been warned that you're coming.
Oh, fantastic. Appreciate it, Jay.
All right, man. Thanks, Colin.
One of the best guys in the Sun Belt Conference, Jay Walker, the voice of the Ragin Cajuns. We'll get to catch up with him this weekend as Georgia Southern heads down to Acadiana to take on Louisiana Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Tigmore Field in Russo Park. Taking a look back at what Georgia Southern baseball was last week. It started on a Tuesday night at J.I. Clements Stadium, all 4 last week at J.I. Georgia Southern getting the victory 4-1 over the College of Charleston. Javon Ray came in with 2 outs in the first inning after Braden Hayes goes 2/3 of an inning, allowing a run and 3 hits. But Javon Ray came in and shut down the College of Charleston, and that's a really good College of Charleston lineup. I think it's going to make some noise in the CAA later on this year. But a 4-1 victory for Georgia Southern over CFC. After CFC scored in the first inning, Georgia Southern answers and didn't look back against the College of Charleston Cougars. And then it was 3 this weekend against Arkansas State. And it was an Arkansas State team that we had talked about struggling coming in. They had lost their last 10 coming into J.I. Clements Stadium, 4-14 the record entering the series. Georgia Southern, Jalen Payton struggled a little bit on Friday night, didn't really seem to be able to get into his groove, but he goes 5 strong innings, giving up 4 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and Thomas Higgins would take over in the 6th inning, goes 3 innings, 3 hits, no runs, and 6 strikeouts, a career high, and Higgins would pick up the win. Georgia Southern gets the win 7-4 over Arkansas State on Friday night. To set the series up right, Georgia Southern ends up scoring 5 in the 7th inning to really put that one away from the Red Wolves after they had issues with Milton on Friday night. But then Saturday, Georgia Southern, the offense explodes. It starts with 4 runs in the bottom of the first inning. You know it's going to be a good day when Jesse Sherrill has a leadoff home run in the bottom half of the first inning over the right field wall. Georgia Southern ends up scoring 4 in the first and didn't look back after that. Ty Fisher was absolutely phenomenal once again. 6 2/3 innings, just 3 hits, no runs, and a career-high 8 strikeouts over 96 pitches. Thomas Ross and Will Robbins finish it off, but Fisher improves to 2-1 with the win, and Georgia Southern gets the victory 12-2, setting a new season high with 15 hits on the day for Georgia Southern, and got it done all the way across the board for the Eagles. And then on Sunday, it was one of the crazier games that I think I have seen, a 7-6 walk-off victory for Georgia Southern over Arkansas State. Javon Ray, Jake Martin, and Jay Thompson all combined out of the bullpen, going 7 innings plus and being able to secure what Georgia Southern was able to do. Jay Thompson, a huge part of it, 3 innings in his final 3. He picks up the victory as Georgia Southern again walks it off, but it's a 6-5 lead for Arkansas State going to the bottom of the 9th inning. Georgia Southern had scrapped across a couple of runs late. Arkansas State scored 3 in the second. Eagles answer for 2 in the bottom of the second. 1 each for Arkansas State in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Georgia Southern with 2 in the bottom of the 5th inning, but a 6-5 lead for Arkansas State going into the 9th inning against Brandon Anderson, who finished the final 2/3 of the 8th inning. Ledford gets on with a walk. J.C. Peacher pinch runs, but then gets picked off. Blake Evans, who is pinch hitting, trying to bunt Peacher over, he ends up flying out to right, so you're down to 2 outs, nobody on in the 9th inning. Austin Thompson draws a walk after he got to his final strike. The pinch hitter in Noah Searcy singles to the right side. You've got runners on first and second. Jarrett Brown walks to load the bases. Parker Beatier, a 4-pitch walk to tie the game at 5. And at that point, I think you knew that Georgia Southern was on to something. You didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but Jesse Sherrill gets hit by the first pitch from Brandon Anderson, and that would walk it off. Georgia Southern, a 7-6 victory. Eagles are now 17-7. They've won 15 of their last 17. In a fantastic start, 5-1 in Sun Belt Conference play. That's tied for the top of the conference with Texas State, who's ranked number 20 in the country over a couple of different polls. Georgia Southern receiving votes in 2 different polls. The USA Today Coaches Poll. Eagles are receiving votes in the top 25. The National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association also receiving votes in that one as well. But you've got a big 4-game stretch for Georgia Southern this week. The next 2 weeks are really important for the Eagles. This week you start tomorrow night, a 6 o'clock first pitch, Georgia Southern against Georgia. It ends up being the rubber game of that 3-game series in the midweek this year for Georgia Southern after the Eagles won 13-5 in the first game at SRP Park a couple of weeks ago. The next night you return home to J.I. Clements. Georgia ends up getting the victory 5-1. So this one for the rubber up at Foley Field again, 6 o'clock tomorrow. Danny Madden will get the ball for Georgia Southern against Hank Bearden, expecting to be a staff day for Georgia. And then we just talked about it with Jay Walker. Louisiana Ragin Cajuns coming up 3 this weekend for Georgia Southern and Louisiana. That's going to be a really good series. Again, the Eagles and Cajuns hadn't met since 2018 in a series, haven't been in a series in Louisiana since 2017, but the Cajuns and Eagles, always a really good series, have met in 2021 and 2019. Georgia Southern getting victories in both of those in the conference tournament, but a 7 o'clock first pitch on Friday, 5 o'clock on Saturday, 1:30 the first pitch on Sunday, all of those Eastern times. We will have the coverage for you on the Georgia Southern Sports Network, starting with the Cutwater Spirits on Deck Circle, starting 30 minutes prior. One other note to get to, a big one and a big congratulations going out to the Georgia Southern Clay Target team, back-to-back national champions. We mentioned it on Sunday for Georgia Southern baseball. But the Clay Target shooting team, we've had Marty Fisher on the podcast to talk all things Clay Target shooting team. The bullpen catcher for Georgia Southern baseball, Doug Williams, a huge part of this team for a club sport for Georgia Southern athletics. But the Clay Target shooting team taking home the Division III national championship this year. They won the Division IV national championship this year. And the divisions aren't necessarily what you think of in the normal sports of football, basketball, baseball. It is depending on how many shooters you enter. Georgia Southern shooting 10 different shooters in the 2022 version down in San Antonio for the national championships, but 10 shooters, so that puts them in Division III. That's the largest division, and I believe up to about 50 different colleges in Division III, but Georgia Southern takes home the crown with a national championship. Back-to-back years, 2 different divisions. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that. So a congratulations going out to the Clay Target shooting team and Marty Fisher, the head coach for that team. A huge congratulations going out to them and a job well done. But everything going on around Georgia Southern athletics, an exciting time as softball heading to Athens on Wednesday after Georgia Southern baseball will be in Athens to take on Georgia on Tuesday. Softball will head up to App State to take on Appalachian State for 3 games this weekend as Georgia Southern baseball will head down to Acadiana to take on the Ragin Cajuns. Huge thank you going out to Sharon Perkins, again, the guest host for Inside Eagle Nation this week, because Danny is off with the Eagle Club Tours down in Jacksonville. Next week they will be in the Mid-State up in Dublin, I believe it is, for the Eagle Club Tours. You can get all the Eagle Club Tour information on gseagles.com. But the next couple of Mondays, I think it's 5 of the next 6 Mondays, Danny is going to be out with the Eagle Club Tour, so we will have different special guest hosts on next week. Expecting to have Jay Thompson from Georgia Southern baseball, the left-handed pitcher, and that's going to be one that you don't want to miss. And if there's different people around Georgia Southern athletics or Georgia Southern in general that you want to hear from, you want to be the next special guest host, let us know. Tweet us at GS Sports Network with your submission, and we will try to get them on as quickly as possible. But that'll wrap things up for us today. Again, Georgia Southern baseball heading to Georgia on Tuesday, and then 3 this weekend down in Acadiana. For our special guest host, Sharon Perkins, again, a huge thank you going out to Coach Perkins for coming on. This is Colin Lacy saying so long, everybody.
You've been listening to Inside Eagle Nation, powered by Learfield, the official podcast of Georgia Southern Athletics.